Hello, beautifuls. Welcome to Intuitive Conversations with Kristine Keeland and Renee Kane. I'm Kristine.
I'm Renee. As best friends and intuitives, we have fantastic conversations in all things spiritual. We have been inspired to share these conversations with you.
Hi,
Renee.
Hello, everybody.
Hello again. Hello, everyone. We're kind of excited today to talk about something that we've brushed on through different episodes, but we're going to talk about frequency and our bodies and how we listen to different things and how it might affect us differently, how it can raise us up or potentially not raise us up. And one of the things we're going to look at first is music.
Yeah.
Well, and when you look at music as a whole, it encompasses everything from drum beats to classical music to very hard rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different, and it affects not only, I'm going to say for myself, it affects not only my emotional well-being, but it also can go in and it can affect my physical being. I can be places, I love music, so all kinds, but there are certain kinds of music that I actually have to remove myself from them. Because I can feel my energy level just plummet if I stay in that music for too long. That's only me. I'm not saying that's the way it affects everyone, but I haven't gotten myself in tuned enough into my body to know this music, this frequency does not benefit this physical body.
Yeah. And I can see that because I can see the cells kind of vibrate, each cell in the body. I see that first before I see like an organ or a system. But just like your emotions relate to a music or a harmonization, I can see the cells, and sometimes they just shake, but they shift and change, and sometimes they get bigger, and sometimes they get more restrictive. And it feels like and we've done this since we've been
in music.
Since we've been people, right? Whatever culture, whether like since drumming or flutes or whatever. Taking reeds and things, and we've just used so many different things. But the body, it either expands through music or constricts, and it's even like showing me the blood vessels and things. So it's probably like certain music doesn't appeal to you.
Yes,
because it's like
it's constricting. It's constricting.
Yeah, and it's not just the volume.
No,
it's the frequency. No. It's and it's a lot of it's the intention. You can even relate to what the person's intention when they're writing the song. Writing music,
Yeah.
There's a certain, for me, like there's a certain feeling I can get from whoever composed it. I can get their vibrational frequency too, and then that comes through the music. And so
that works.
We talked about earlier, Mozart has that. They call it the divine frequency or the God frequency,
embedded in the music of.
Is that 936? You guys, you can YouTube a lot of things and look up different
I think
frequencies.
Mozart was 432.
That's right. 432 to the heart. Yeah, thank you.
But it's very interesting that you can pick up on that, or that your body will resonate with it or will not. So if you correct me if you think this is different, or whatever what I'm getting right now is, if you keep yourself in a frequency of music that constricts you, and you're not aware that it constricts you, you can bring damage to your physical body. And that sounds really bizarre, but frequency moves cells, and you can, like you said earlier, you can go online and look up bazillion things that show you how a cell reacts to a certain sound. So even though we may love this particular kind of music, and we feel like it lifts us, we need to be super uber clear about how our body feels about it.
Is it distorting something? Is it distorting your reality, or is it actually distorting your physicality?
Right.
Or is it enlightening it and expanding it? And you can see that when they do those experiments with salt or sand,
and they can
it changes in water, it changes with frequency and with sound.
Yeah.
And with that again goes through words too.
I was just gonna say that, because it's like, it's not only the tune, let's call it a tune that is being played, but you can have a lovely melodic tune and the words can be like, whoa. sometimes
Mhm.
the frequency of the words overpowers the frequency of the music.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I'll be singing a song thinking I know the words, and then I learn that, oh, those aren't the words.
Those are not the words I thought
They're
at
not the
all.
words at all. And then it kind of shifts the way the whole song goes for you. It's like, oh, I really thought they were talking about this, and they're talking about this. So again, awareness.
Yeah.
It's being aware of how something affects you emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
And I'm listening to. I'm listening to against this polarity because the words are so important because they have a certain imprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people say things sometimes, and the frequency that goes along with those words don't match the words. So, Renee, you son of a gun. Or where they say, God bless, what do they say? Bless you. They don't really mean bless you.
Yeah, bless you. Yeah.
But there's also the opposite too. So we're still in this, we live in a world of polarity and duality. So that's why it's so important to pay attention. Right? Because children react to tone and the forcefulness, gentleness of something. But it is words. Words are very important, but it's like what's behind it. The tone. And what's your vibrational field that you're vibrating at.
Yes.
How are you relating to the world?
And we've all said things in a way, and then when you realize how it's come out, it's like, whoa, I was not in the place to be talking about that because that did not come out. Mm-hmm. It came out the way it came out, but the intention behind it might have been something differently. Yeah. Like you wanted to express yourself this way, but it came out like this big way. And especially with children, like they're very aware. And so when we maybe raise our voice or lift a frequency or a notch level, and then they're like, sorry.
Yeah. And you never notice like how natural it is for many mothers fathers to hum to their babies or to have a certain, movement, which is also, if I was able to hear that well when I can, you can hear there's a harmonics to movement, right? Too. So we live in a world of frequency and sound, even when we're not aware of it. And so we are being encouraged by ourselves. We're encouraging you to really pay attention to what we are hearing inside your house, outside your house, inside your body, outside your body.
Yeah. And when you find something that doesn't feel exactly aligned, then you are in a position to get to decide if you want to stay and participate or if it's okay for you to remove yourself from that situation. If someone's yelling at you at work or home or wherever you are, you don't have to stay and take the yelling.
No.
You can remove yourself from the situation because it doesn't align with you. Now, sometimes it's hard for a child to do when we're like maybe on them about something, but it's an empowering piece is what we're trying to say. Yeah. You get to decide. You get to feel it, know it, and see where it lands. Because Chris and I, we could both hear the same piece of music, and even if it's a pleasant piece, even if it's something that we think is pleasant, and we're taking it in or wherever, I might feel it in my stomach. She might feel it in her heart. We're all physically different. Our frequencies are all different.
And you can watch culturally or societally how music changes according to people's vibrations and people's thought process, right? So like in the late 60s, late 60s, we had more of there's that folk music. There's all types of music. I'm thinking about United States, but what Britain too. Where was that uplifting and this communal type of energy, and I see you. And then that kind of shifted, and then we got more like that punk, and we got that really heavy, and I'm abrasive against you, and we had the lovely 70s, which was kind of like pop music and kind of gentle. So we're trying to figure it out, and I'm certainly not a music professor, but you can see how more things have been introduced, and some of it got very, very harsh. and very against you and very,
Mhm.
it like feels like it even hurt the brain a little bit. They're showing me like, I don't know this guy's music at all, but like Marilyn Manson or that punk music was really harmful to people.
I would say that
Yeah.
it could be very
Yeah.
harmful to people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which and I'm not throwing anybody or anything under the bus, like, 'cause I don't know that much about it, but just it's what I'm hearing and seeing is it affected their brain, it affected their body, and also they're trying to reach a higher state of consciousness, like you had mentioned earlier, through drugs and alcohol too,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So trying to find that divine within themselves through an outward source.
Because we actually do know what those
Yeah.
frequencies feel like,
Yeah.
sound like, and how they resonate with us.
Yeah.
We've just removed ourselves from them so much that sometimes those artificial means
Yeah.
like can bring us to like, oh, I remember this, or I know this. I've been here before.
It'd
But
be
we
something,
can't
yeah.
quite, we aren't quite
No.
getting there.
It'd be really something interesting to study, and we're not going to get done this hour, but how music, like the music industry, follows collective consciousness and the vibrational field that we're holding.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody want to do that?
Sign up.
But you can kind of see it, like what's popular, right, in vogue right now, or whatever. And it'd be interesting if it's different around the world, different cultures, because the planet holds a certain frequency. But I know we have pockets too.
Yeah,
So
we do.
yeah, and even our own lives, we go through different. Like you mentioned, church is a different many times.
Yeah, church music can be really different. And I did mention earlier too about how almost every church that I'm aware of has a bell. Yeah. And the bell rings, and you become adapted to that sound as to calling you to your church.
Yeah.
So we become ingrained, or what's the word I'm looking up? Entrained to certain music bringing us certain feelings or emotions. And
it reminds me of Pavlov's dog.
There you go. Yeah.
You get well, it does do that. It brings out certain things to you, and it trains, and it also, we connect memories to sound and music and frequencies.
Absolutely.
Not neither good or bad, both. But yeah.
Well, and there's actually, I remember, oh God, this was a while ago, and I don't have, again, I don't have the statistics. You can probably look them up anywhere, but there is certain frequencies aligned to certain illnesses, let's say. And I know I read that string music, so that'd be like your violins, guitars, cellos, any kind of a string, harp music is supposed to be really good to help fight cancer.
Yeah. And I've had cancer twice, and both times I listened to a lot of music, and I also listened to frequency healings, which I could find on YouTube, and I could find on, I think mostly listened to it on YouTube. And there's different tones that resonate with me, and 432 is one of them. Maybe some guy even did a TED talk about, the breaking the cancer cells up. It was harmonics of 11, which is a couple of different frequencies entwined together.
Yep.
They do it with childbirth. You do it in surgery. I had an uncle who used to be a physiatrist and something, who was pain management, and he had people listen to music.
There you go.
And he had people meditate, and this was years ago, and it really was kind of frowned upon in his practice because, side note, but he was taking too much time with patients. But he intuitively knew a frequency, the music can, it strengthens or weakens a system.
Exactly. And that's why for each of us to become more in tune with our own physical body, then we begin to understand that, that frequency it's off for me. Yeah. It's really off. And so at this point, it's not benefiting me. So I remove myself from that particular frequency. Now, that might be the frequency that for someone else, burns up the cold they have or whatever. Yeah. We're not all the same. No. We're not cookie cuttered out, even though sometimes people would think we are.
So you might find it interesting, for listeners to listen to different frequencies and just give yourself some time and space to okay, I'm listening to this frequency. And you were saying too, we listen to 20 to 20,000. We have the ability to relate to that in human form.
We can hear.
So maybe do 5 and 10 and 30, and most of the body resonates at about 200 and more,
Mm-hmm.
our organs and things. So just kind of play it around a little bit and see
Mm-hmm.
if this really feels good to me. Oh, this one's a little
Mm-hmm.
shaky.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're really sensitive, I'll say this is affecting my liver. Actually, like, my liver likes this,
Yeah.
or I'm helping like remove some of the sludge. You can get very sensitive. I think it'd be a wonderful way to keep our children
Mm.
involved in that and not have them go away from that, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yep.
And it doesn't necessarily make me sad, but I'm very aware we introduce things pretty early to kids
Yep.
that are a sound that may or may not resonate with them. And again, not a judgment on anything, it's just an awareness on my part, because
Mm-hmm.
I've done both.
Oh yeah.
I've
Oh
done
yeah.
both. And that brings me to nature too, because look at all the sounds in nature and the frequencies in nature, and
Mm-hmm.
even well, this is weird, Renee. Even the rays of the sun, like, we know there's different rays coming in the plant,
Mm-hmm.
that has a different frequency, and
Mm-hmm.
the different colors coming in, and
Color,
yeah, the
definitely,
color rays
yes.
have a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your
And
thoughts on that?
when you mentioned the sun and the color thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, because oftentimes when I close my eyes finally at night to rest, the colors come in. And sometimes it's just so bright and so vivid, the color that comes in on a particular night, that I'm like opening my eyes because I'm thinking, did I leave the light on? And there's nothing there, it's black. Close my eyes and I get this vivid color. And I know that's a frequency that I'm working with that evening as I sleep. So it's subtle how it can happen. It's even like if you I live in Minnesota, we have loons on our lakes.
Yeah. Oh, isn't
The
that
cry
lovely?
of a loon is its own frequency.
Yeah.
And if you really just move into what that sounds like, it brings on different things for different people. But there's a beauty in that that kind of, for me, has opened up some different things. A wolf howling,
Mm-hmm.
a dog barking, the crunch of your
Yeah.
feet if you're walking on gravel. There are so many sounds in
And the
nature.
wind and the grass
Wind,
rustling, and
hmm
um,
the
and
leaves.
you're talking about something really reminds me, like, babies can always find their mother's sound. Of course, they can smell, but like, in the wild too.
hmm
You know, deer and stuff like hi, but they all have their own tone,
They do.
right?
They do.
So you look through the animal kingdom, they all are able to communicate through sound. They do communicate through sound, but humans do too. You put
hmm
babies in a room, and mothers aren't there, but they can hear their voices. They hear their more than that, but yeah,
We
we're
are.
created pretty magnificently, aren't we? Yeah.
We really are. We have so much potential within each being of what we can hear, see, know, be, that this is not the time, people, to limit oneself.
No,
This is not the time to be limited. This is the time to explore.
and be curious.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about the colors coming in and the
Mm-hmm.
light. I think, from my experience, that's some things people sometimes experience maybe early on when they're starting to kind of tune in them at a higher level of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
As you're going to sleep at night tonight, it feels, and you see this bright light come across you, and it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like headlights coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It's so quick, but that's really like you're connecting to
Sure.
different frequency, different vibration. It's like it's you, and it's the
It
help
is
is running,
you.
but it's so quick, and sometimes people would say, "What is that?" Kind of scares me. Like, no, that's like a wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing
Yeah.
to start experiencing.
Yeah.
Like you said, then the different rays and things come through, and they all have a different frequency,
Mm-hmm.
a different sound. Yeah.
And it is our opportunity right now to be able to, again, I'll use the word explore. So if you're stuck, I'm just going to go this way.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in one genre of music, so you're a country music buff, and that's all you listen to is country music, country music, country music. And I like country music, so I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I challenge you to pick a different genre. Go investigate folk.
Mm-hmm.
Go investigate 60s rock and roll. Go investigate something else. Compare the two Compare to the two as to how your body feels when you're working with or listening to one or the other. It's very, very different. And it's kind of fun to make an attempt at exploring something new. Because sometimes we just get stuck. This little limited thing right here, this is what I like. This is what I like. And I only like these two colors. You know?
Yeah.
Now is not the time to limit ourselves. Now is the time to expand.
And it's to expand, like get what your body's used to. Like I know this really well. It's like this. You kind of want to introduce lots of different things. What I'm hearing is like that sorry, I can't speak. What's that? Australian didgeridoo. Yep, I'm hearing that. And I'm also hearing like flamenco dancing. so like the romantic musics and stuff.
Yes.
That's very different. Like that has a different connection to the heart,
totally,
and the liver and all
body.
that. And then the other one feels like it's more spine. I don't know. The other one feels like it's coming through my spine. But explore a little bit. See what's out there.
And I think music is one of, and this again is my thinking, my perception. Music is one of the key ways in which we can explore something, whatever it might be. The verbiage, the tones, the whatever. It's easy. I don't know if I've ever met anybody who told me they don't like music of one kind or another. It's a great way to open It's a great way to open oneself up to the more, and to attune the body to the emotions, to the spirituality of raising one's consciousness and awareness
to each other. And really, you can go deep into yourself with music, and really have that. It's like a sensory full experience of the mind, body, spirit. It's like it can fill you up or it can deplete you.
Either way.
Either way.
I guess we just really want to encourage you to be an explorer.
Some people's voices resonate with you and some don't.
Oh yes,
that's a frequency thing too.
That
so it's like you're vibrating within this bandwidth, right? In your frequency, and somebody else is like lower or higher or sideways, whatever. And you won't really know why, but it's like, oh, I just can't. Like when
it can feel screechy,
or just like you have some voice, and a lot of them are, they do audiobooks, or they do they're just people, like wow, they're just the most wonderful voice. You could listen to them all day long. They're vibrating at something that really, for them, they're vibrating something that for the collective, it's very pleasant, and it has a soothing effect, or maybe it's it has multiple things, right? But again, like Renee is saying, really pay attention. See what works for you. Pay attention next 3-4 days, and what really are you listening to? And what's your heart and brain ingesting to as far as information?
That is really key, Kristine. That what are you ingesting? I will use an example here. Just as an example, if you perchance listen to your music, let's say, is all about Johnny left me and he might come back. My friends don't like me, and if everything wraps around, if all your music is wrapped around being left or abandoned or whatever, what are you working on in your life? Are you working on abandonment? Might be your issue, but it's the opportunity for you to say, wow, why do I listen? Why are all my favorite songs about abandonment?
Why is this comforting? Why is this? And sometimes it is very comforting.
Sometimes it's the opposite.
But it's like, do I want to stay here?
Exactly.
Right? We have all these clues in our life, right? They're right in front of us.
And then we get to look at that and just say, why is that way? Or why do I feel, why do I, every time I listen to a certain thing, why does my left knee throb? What's the connection? And I know a lot of people think that. I know some people are like, oh yeah, pay attention. It may not be true for you, but it may be true for a number of people.
You may not recognize it for all, like, oh, so I got a backache, and you think it's something else. It's like, really, and it is allowing your pace to slow down a little bit, so you can pay attention, and maybe just open yourself up to that. That's a thing. That maybe this is something I can investigate, and it's true. Then you start to notice over time. It's like, wow, I am noticing. I'm noticing connection.
And You had mentioned this earlier a little bit about sometimes there's sound and we don't know there's
Yeah.
sound. That I think is really fun to just quiet yourself. Quiet yourself down to no sound to see what sound you do hear once it's quiet. And then you really hear the birds and you really hear, the car tires on the road or whatever it is if you're out for a walk, I guess I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting what one can hear when it's quiet.
I remember I did a meditation once. I might have been with you, and it was just so like peaceful and wonderful and just like surprising. But I went in between the wind.
Oh, I
And
remember
I didn't
that.
know there was a space between the wind. Well, I didn't know you could hear the wind to the degree that I was hearing it, but there was like sound in between the wind. It was like the oddest, most accurate, one of the most accurate experiences. And to me, almost like the space between feathers, like when you see a bird feather, there's all those little
Mm-hmm.
connections.
Mm-hmm.
But there's wind, and there was like, oh, you go deeper, and there's something even more expressive in between that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at our body, like even if you hear like, I don't have I'm sure somebody can do it with a machine. Like, what's it sound like when blood's flowing through you, right? We all here know when our tummy's growing. We know what that
Yes,
sounds
we
like.
know that one.
But I think
Mhm.
if we were able to listen to like blood flow, what's the sound in between the blood flow? That may be getting too deep or too weird. I don't know. But I know there's sound there. I know there's something in between the sound that we hear and the sound that's there. There's a frequency that we live by, and we don't really know that we know it, right?
Well, and I think that it's kind of like how they talk about our cells, and we have a nucleus, and we have what do we have running around there? Protons and electrons,
Random
and a
mitochondria,
nucleus, and
mitochondria, all that
all
stuff.
that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. But they say there's more space between all of those
I think that's what
components
you hear.
that makes up one cell,
Yeah,
and that I think is what you're talking about.
we have more space
We
than
have
we
more
realize.
space. Mm-hmm.
And look at the universe has all that space. And when you look at anybody, everybody has their own signature, their own sound signature,
Mm-hmm.
and they can be very similar. I think even with twins, they have a different identity.
They
They have
do.
a different sound signature, different
Mm-hmm.
frequency symbol. I
Mm-hmm.
think we're just like on the cusp of understanding more.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned the sound, the space in between the body, because
Mm-hmm.
there really is more space than we.
There's more space, and I don't have the actual exact data or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe I heard or read something about if you took away all that space in our cells for each physical
Yeah.
body, it sits on the head of a pin.
Yeah,
I mean, it's minute compared to the space.
and that's pretty new.
The
this
density of
information.
us is minute compared to the space within us. So that's part of what when you're listening and
Mhm.
hearing something beyond the wind, and it is new. These are new. Well, maybe not all completely new. I'm hearing it's like, well, they're not new. They've been around forever, but
Available for us to
to
know
our
about.
awareness, they're new.
The technology is available. The
To
curiosity
prove
is
it.
available. Yeah.
The technology to prove it is
Yeah.
now present for us. So, golly,
And we have all these solar waves coming into the planet, which people talk about, and you can feel it in your body, and it is a sound and frequency, but it's also like a expansion in the body. And I wanted to mention it because one, people are wondering I just feel off this week or something. Some people feel wonderful. Some people like, oh my gosh, no, my body hasn't hurt in 10 years now. All of a sudden I got aches and pains. It's expansion of the body, but I've also been experiencing, a couple clients where it's like I'm not in a wind tunnel, but it feels like I'm in a subway tunnel or something, and then shoo, I just hear shoo, shoo, shoo. And I see like in my peripheral vision, I see different colors moving by so fast. Almost reminds me of like a movie where they're showing energy moving, but it's like black, red, and white, and it all kind of blends. Reminds me of race cars or something. I don't know what it's, but it's just this uh, I don't know if it's moving. I'm listening now. What is it? It's something with time.
Oh.
It's something with time. So it's like, how are we moving through time? And because time's not linear, and I know we're maybe going off in a different direction now, but I've experienced it, and a couple of my clients have experienced that. It's like, what is this that we're in? It's not just poor. Yeah, it's a bunch of different things, but it's really, we experience more in an hour and a second than we have no idea. We are becoming more aware of how truly, like, how creative we are, and how, all those words that Spirit likes to use, magnificent and glorious and wonderful and spectacular, things we don't typically talk about ourselves with, but this ability to be really immersed in our own lives and immersed in like this universal, transaction of transformation we're in, is this like this I don't have words for it yet, because we're just in the very, sometimes we're in the middle, sometimes we're in the end. Like, I don't know, I don't know where we are all the time, but
it really is a point in the evolution of humanity where what they show me and what I see is what has been is no more. It's like completely over. It's like, if this is what you have, we are in the process of going to this. Yeah. It doesn't mean one is more correct or the other. It's this process we've completed. It's time to move to our next level, our next step, our next understanding. Are we ready to know on a deeper level more about who we truly are and where we actually have come from as humanity,
as a race,
as the whole planet? And we really get to do that. And it's interesting when you mentioned the time thing, because I don't know what I was reading or listening to in this last week. They were talking about time and how interesting it is that our time moves. It's 8 o'clock. No, it's 9 o'clock. We're moving forward. We consider that moving forward.
Yeah.
But the reality of the cosmos is it's going the other way.
Yeah.
So it's going in reverse, and we're going like this. Yeah. And I haven't dived into
which
that.
Which would be a little discombobulating at times, right?
Which is exactly kind of what you're talking about, the time. So I think that there's feels like there's something going on with that, which is... and
we're getting out of, bit by bit, we're getting out of distortion, feeling comfortable. See, those frequencies that are really, they don't really work well with our body, and they don't really work well with our heart and our divine self, whatever you want to call it. That comfort of being in something that's not really accurate for the moment. That just, we can't fit in these confined spaces anymore. These vibrations and frequencies and harmonics that, not even, I suppose they're harmonic, but they're just not very pleasant.
And I think the other part of it is, as humans, we're what's the word? We're moving from, which isn't exactly the right terminology, but I don't have another word right now. Following the pack to following me. So we're really getting to a point where we can shed some of the, you guys want to go do that? Happy, go do your thing. It's not mine. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go do this. And we're really moving more fully into being our own sovereign self, while still being a part of Source. But we're being less judgmental with, I have to go with them because that's what we're going to do. We do that every Saturday or whatever it might be in your world. It's like, at a point we are getting much better at saying, I'm just done with that. I don't want to celebrate that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. You guys carry on. I'm going to go over here. But that's been so much more accepted by people, where before it was, and maybe that was only my perception, but it was like, if you didn't follow along, you were shunned. And now it doesn't feel like the shunning piece exists.
No, it's like people are having
as much
an easier time, maybe not all the time, hearing what the person's actually saying to you, and how you're receiving it, and what's the intention, and what do you do with it, right? Because you actually hear where you're at, or you hear what you're working on, just like you talked about earlier, the music residency. So someone can say, have a lovely day,
Mm-hmm.
and you can receive it 10 different ways.
Have a lovely
Right?
day.
and they can be nothing. They're showing you this is where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Is this truly a lovely day, or are you taking it as a judgment? And they're neither right or wrong. Everything we involve ourselves in is information.
It is. It's what we do with it.
Yeah. And isn't it lovely that comes through ourselves, mostly ourselves, right? Because it can't come through anyone else, but it comes through the music and the sound and the colors and the things we involve ourselves with. And of course, the people we share our lives with. And then there's, the greater presence too. So.
And like you just kind of were talking about, it's that awareness in how some frequency, be it music, sound, however you want to, whatever that frequency is, we are really at a point, like you just said, of being able to be clear about what we perceive without judgment as to how someone else perceives the exact same thing. And when we can really make that the broad-based, we will have a major leap shift in humanity. And we're getting there.
Hard one, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And it just showed me too, it's like when things are really dense, it's just so many frequencies running together. It's really not harmonic. You can call it harmonic because it's more than one running, but it's so tight. It's like listening to trains and fire engines and singing. It's like listening to all. It's like it's too much in the brain for almost to listen to it all. But vibration, it's like too much. So your potentials are really limited. And how you can understand your life is really through such a broken lens. And that you get these higher vibrations, things, you start to move things. The lower vibrations, and that's when I think you get more harmony that's pleasant.
Perfect.
Yeah, they used to tell me, I think it was Grace. Yeah, Grace was removing some of the too many frequencies running together at a time. And then just became more pleasant. You could actually hear and understand yourself better. And less.
And that's key to understand for yourself when you're in that spot. Because once you can recognize this is too much, then you get to expand may not be the word, but you get to say, oh, less of this.
It reminds me of like being
more of this.
Like, being like a metropolitan city where there's 24/7 lights and sound and everything. And then you go out in the country where it's like much more mild and they take a bit of adjustment. It's like you even breathe differently, right? And it may not feel good for you to be out of that. And many are experiencing getting out of something they've known for so long, and then that just feels so awkward. And it's actually moving. It is a better place, right, for you to be, but you're not used to it, and so you think, I need to go back there. Because there's a lot of I need to go back there right now.
There is a lot of that.
And because
this is what I know.
Yeah.
or I think I know. It's a more accurate way to say this is what I think I know.
But look what's in front of you. Like all this beautiful, even if you can't quite see, maybe you got, the glasses are a little foggy. But this is the better place to be.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quote, better, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But a lot of people want to go backwards because it just feels
it's what they know.
It's what you know. And that's the courage and the curiosity and so what will you be listening to?
Yes, let us know if you find something really awesome that you would like to share.
Please share. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you'd like to have discussions around. Share this if it may, you love it. If you love it, please share it with others. And we are always listening.
We are
in multiple ways.
Yes,
multiple ways.
Yes.
So another thought that just drives most people crazy is that buzzing mosquito. I wonder what frequency that is, but because I'm sure it's in other things too. And listen what that here. They're just showing me it is so important that is a minute thing that we can really pay attention to.
Exactly.
You can really pay attention to that. You can also pay attention to this. Yeah. I'm curious what frequency that is now.
Oh, we might have to look it up.
I'm like what a mosquito frequency is. What's the next one? So
be aware.
Yeah,
stay aware, I should say.
And lovely to be with you again.
Yes.
So
We are forever grateful to you, our listener. You inspire us to continue listening with our hearts,
to share what we know, and to expand love, peace, and joy within ourselves and others. Until next time, this is Kristine Keeland
and Renee Keene. Be love, give love, and receive love.